Here's what I want to outline for everybody and what I think should happen. I understand what everybody looks at when they say Jon Jones, what is he going to do next? He keeps saying this thing about legacy fights. And I do agree to a certain extent from the aspect, yes, Tom Aspinall does not have the legacy of a, per se, Alex Pereira or Stipe Miocic, so on and so forth. But also, we know I want the Tom Aspinall fight to happen ASAP. I'm just saying this is what I can see him thinking of. He wants to see a guy that has a great legacy. So when people look back at his name in so many years, they say, hey, he's got this guy on his list. I understand that. But this fight needs to happen. And at the same time, Jon Jones deserves to get paid. And we've been seeing more rumors come out recently where I feel like Dana White, the UFC, is going to make this thing happen. And if this occurs, it's worth every penny that the UFC pays. Because let's be honest, okay? No, it's not guaranteed, but we've heard rumblings of different people. We know the UFC pays the champions, the superstars, some money on the table. It's very, very well known that that's most likely what occurs in the UFC. And it's not just what gets reported to the public. Those are just base numbers and so on and so forth. What I think we're going to see right now is UFC is going to have to give Jon Jones a potential near record or even record deal. Now, will it compare to what a Conor McGregor fight income was for him? I don't know. It's hard to say. But it's going to be well up there. And you have to understand that from the UFC perspective, a Jon Jones-Tom Aspinall fight will be one of the biggest fights they can make. From a pay-per-view standpoint, Jon Jones versus Alex Pereira is a little bit bigger because more people from the general public that are not true UFC fans will buy that pay-per-view because they know how big that is. But from a UFC combat sports fans, every single combat sports fans will erupt. The internet will probably break if that news gets broken. And so here's the ideal plan. And I drew this up because I think this is what makes sense. We know Jon Jones is in his final year or two of fighting, and he's one of the greatest of all times. And I was okay with the Pereira fight possibly before the fight against Jon Jones, but I feel like now at this point in time, it's time to move on from that for now. Right now, Pereira needs to go fight Magomed, and Jon Jones needs to go fight Aspinall. And here's what I see happening. I think a perfect leaving the sport of combat sports for Jon Jones would go like this. He goes and defeats Tom Aspinall, becomes the heavyweight champion or remains the heavyweight champion of the world, and has the best challenge he's faced possibly since Francis Ngannou. He gets to go actually face him this time around. And so Aspinall, Jon Jones, mega fight. If Jon Jones wins that fight, where no one can really debate him anymore, he already is the guaranteed GOAT in my opinion. But I don't think anybody can ever dispute him being the GOAT if he goes and beats Aspinall. Following that, Pereira goes and beats Magomed, which I think will happen. You then have Pereira move to heavyweight, and then the grand finale of Jon Jones' career comes at the end of next year or early 2026. His walkaway, final fight in the UFC. Alex Pereira, Jon Jones, to the greatest of all time at the peak of it. You could say two of the biggest brands in all of UFC at that point in time. They fight each other for the heavyweight championship of the world, and Jon Jones can then walk away if he so chooses after that if he beats Alex Pereira. I think that would be absolutely perfect. And if that is the route that Jon Jones takes, it's hard to think of him as any other thing other than the greatest of all time. It's undisputed. There's no doubting what he would be. He have to be the greatest of all time. That'd be one of the greatest resumes you could ever put together in all of combat sports. So that is what I have to list for Jon Jones.